Glad to welcome you to the News on the Hour. Let's take you through the major stories. Church of Nigeria elects 2 new bishops for the dioceses of Calabar and Western Izon, and 1 archbishop for ecclesiastical province of Niger Delta. Diocese of Abuja vaccinates staff, clergy and wives. Senator representing Kogi West Senatorial District, Smart Adeyemi, calls President Muhammadu Buhari to put away ego and seek international help. We begin with Episcopal Synod. Church of Nigeria Anglican Communion, at the end of its mission consultative meeting and Episcopal Synod, held in Lagos from April 19th to 23rd, 2021, elected an archbishop and 2 bishops. The election saw the bishop of the Diocese of Ikwere, the Right Reverend Dr. Blessed C. Enyinda, JP, who is the vice chairman of the Acnn TV Board of Management, as Archbishop-elect of the Ecclesiastical Province of Niger Delta. Professor Noyi Egbe of Christ Church Deanery, Calabar, emerged as the bishop-elect for the Diocese of Calabar. Finally, the Venerable Victor Okporu, an Archdeacon of Ajakuta Archdeaconry of Lokoja Diocese, was elected Bishop of the Diocese of Western Izon. Following instruction by the Primate Church of Nigeria Anglican Communion, His Grace, the Most Reverend Henry Ndukuba, on the COVID-19 vaccine, clergy and their wives in the Diocese of Abuja troop out en masse to be vaccinated. The exercise, which is led by some professional doctors from the National Hospital Abuja to the Anglican Secretariat headquarters in Gudu, gave the clergy and staffs of St. Matthias House the opportunity to participate. The primate, being the head of the Anglican Communion, has earlier received the vaccine, urging every other person to be vaccinated, adding that other countries who share climatic condition with Nigeria are also facing the changes to adapt to its condition, urging all to attain the vaccine.
I have also taken the first dose of this vaccine, and I have not developed anything except the normal thing that will go with any vaccination. Only take the necessary medications that you are told to take. Please walk in and take it. Even if it is doing nothing, you lose nothing. What is happening in India right now, brethren, my prayer is that it will not come to Nigeria. And we will continue to pray. But Jesus said also, watch. When you watch, your eyes are open. Please, I beg of you, make it a point of duty. I am speaking to you as your pastor. I will not say something that will be a danger to your life and be quiet. If I don't want you, I have not served the purpose of my call. I'm not a watchman.
The Archbishop of Bender Province and Bishop of Ughelli Diocese, Cyril Odutemu, has commended President Buhari for yielding to the people's cry over the change of service chiefs. Speaking at the delivery of his bishop's charge at the 3rd session of the 8th Synod of his diocese, he advised that all officers and men should be deployed to their own states.
Buhari had yielded to that call, and we commend him. We have no doubt in our mind that General Irabo will do a good work as the Chief of Defense Staff. And we are also confident of General Tahiru, the COAS, that he will combat Boko Haram headlong. We have observed with pain the ways of Nigeria slaughter our troops and servicemen. The current security architecture will hardly produce any positive result in combating these terrorists who shield themselves with the canopy of herdsmen and bandits. While we appreciate the federal structure of our country, there is an urgent need for a total overhaul of the deployment of service personnel in the country. The idea of using personnel from another region to protect a strange region will never give Nigeria the desired result. We must make deliberate effort to deploy all officers and men of all security agencies to their home states.
The Synod also pleaded with the administration to intervene in the Port Harcourt-Lagos railway line.
We again plead with the administration to do something about the railway line from Lagos to Port Harcourt. The oil that constructs the railway line from Lagos to Kano that is going to Niger is drilled from the Niger Delta. But we want to make it known to the world that government is not God. And those who make laws against the church have never enjoyed it anywhere. We wish to condemn in its totality the illegal inflow of foreigners into the country through its borders. This act had been a booster to security challenges in our country, as the President Buhari government has openly claimed severally that the killer herdsmen and bandits causing unrest to citizens of Nigeria are foreigners from neighboring nations. If this claim is true, then one of the ways to tackle the problem of insecurity in our country is to guard our borders against this illicit phenomenon. The need for border control in our current predicament cannot be overemphasized. It is therefore incoherent for the federal government at this critical time to construct any rail line to these countries through which these men access our country. There is need for all states of the country to establish border control.
Highlight of the Bishop's Charge presentation is the presentation of Kola Nut to the guest through the chairman of the event, as it is customary to present Kola to their guest. The bishops who attended were also presented with their own colas. The Bishop of the Diocese of Sapele, the Right Reverend Dr. Blessing Erifeta, has said that Christians are the aroma of Christ, hence the need to showcase Christ where they are. Speaking with Wane Ogechukwu in an interview, the cleric stressed that despite the persecution, Christians should always be light bearers.
It is actually the time for us to display who we are in Christ Jesus. The world is actually looking unto us, looking unto the church because of the terrible situation we have around. The church, of course, should define a direction for the world to follow. God will not just come down in person. He will do what he wants to do through the church. And this is a directional message that we all need to actually ponder over, consider, and impact, practicalize. We Christians is actually the aroma of Christ, and we must showcase Christ everywhere we go. We must display it. People should be able to actually, sense Christ through us. They should be able to sense Christ through us. But they find that most time, Christianity is being faked here and there, and the individual lives, those who claim to be Christian, seem to be, doing a kind of cover-up, a kind of pretense that actually does not display Christ immediately to the understanding of those without Christ. So there is too much faking all over the whole place. We actually have to live as the aroma of Christ, especially in this polluted world.
This is still the news on the hour, and still to come. Nigeria set to host 20 Nations second edition of the African Mini Football Confederation Cup of Nations. Details coming at the flip side of this short break.
There are many people who have stood in the line of faith who have died, I can only conclude one thing. The God who has revealed himself to them and to us, the God they have believed in and preached and done all the good works that they have done in his name, they finally now are seeing him face to face. Face to face. Let me be clear. We will never know God until he reveals himself to us. So never assume knowing God. Don't assume it. Don't think because you come to church, you've been ordained, you go to theological college, your father is a bishop and so on, therefore you know God. No. The words that Jesus speaks, if you believe in them, the word of God is powerful. The writer of Hebrews says it's powerful, sharper than any two-edged sword, capable of piercing and dissecting and explaining who you are to you. In fact, getting into the marrows that makes the bone to bring out blood. So bringing out life. The word is life.
Timberlock, they kill termites instantly. Now the best wood preservative. With Timberlock fresh food, Timberlock help you, Timberlock tested, Timberlock trusted, Timberlock fresh food, Timberlock help you, Timberlock tested, Timberlock trusted. Timberlock, oh wow, Timberlock, medium brown, Timberlock, colorless, Timberlock. You want herbal, finishing technology products, make you go tell them, Timberlock. Now use and tell, oh wow, yeah.
Timberlock Wood Preservative, the wood preservative brand leader in Africa.
Welcome back. You're still on to the news on the hour. For more on our top stories, please visit our website at acnntv.com or our social media platforms on facebook.com or youtube.com/acnntv. To be up to date with our news and other programs, download the Avo TV app from Google Play Store. And you can also advertise your goods and services on ACNN TV. Moving on, Kogi West Senator Smart Adeyemi has declared that it is time to put away politics and call out President Muhammadu Buhari over the growing cases of insecurity in Nigeria. The senator, who lamented in very emotional tones that no one in the seek international help in overcoming insecurity. Senator Adeyemi made the submission while contributing on the floor of the Senate to a motion raised by Niger East Senator Sani Musa, who called the attention of the lawmakers to the fact that Boko Haram terrorists have taken over 3 local governments in Niger State.
The nation is on fire. The president must rise to the occasion. It costs us nothing to get foreign support. We must rise to the occasion. We must bring in people to save this country, or else we'll be consumed. We cannot keep quiet any longer. It has gotten to a point that we cannot sleep with our 2 eyes closed. We are not free. Our children are not free. The president must rise to the occasion. There is no nation that is so powerful that doesn't need support of other nations. Individuals cannot say you will leave the war without any other person with you. So we must rise. The situation is our security system has collapsed. It has failed. And because it has failed, we need to look for foreign support. It costs Nigeria nothing. Forget the ego, forget the superiority of Nigeria in African nations. Today, we are facing serious problems. If our nation is to survive this period, that the security architecture we have today cannot cope with what we are facing. Every part of this country is threatened. From the north to the south, nobody is safe. Nobody can travel 50 kilometers in our nation. I feel like shedding tears for a country that we grew up, where nobody harassed you when you travel from Lagos to Maiduguri. I done it in times past. Today I cannot travel from here to Kaduna to Niger State where I was born. The president must know that this is a bad time for our nation. We must look for foreign support to save this nation. This is my position, Mr. President. We must rise to it. They are killing people in the east, in the west, in the south, in the north. We should shut down the National Assembly. Let's cannot save this country. We stay in our homes. Our country is bleeding. People are in poverty. There's no food. People are hungry. Insecurity is threatening us. We cannot pretend. It's better we're not here. That's the next thing that here. People are dying. Every day Nigerians are dying. We must learn to education.
Very emotional indeed. And still on insecurity, members of the House of Representatives have called on President Muhammadu Buhari to immediately declare a state of emergency on security. Considering the present situation, they believe this will show the measures towards restoring peace in the country. The call formed part of the resolutions reached at the close of session to discuss pressing national issues, which lasted about 4 hours on Tuesday at the lower chamber of the National Assembly in Abuja. Reading the other resolutions reached at the end of the meeting, the Speaker of the House, Femi Gbajabiamila, noted that the House Security Committees were mandated to immediately commence comprehensive audit of all military and paramilitary assets and arms and revert back within 4 weeks. After being assailed by unrelenting insecurity across the regions of the country and yielding to calls for international collaboration, President Muhammadu Buhari has sought the help of the United States government to contain the situation in the country. During a virtual meeting with the U.S. Secretary of State, Mr. Anthony Blinken, Buhari stressed the need for the U.S. to consider relocating its African Command, AFRICOM, from Stuttgart, Germany, to Africa, nearer the theater of operation, while urging the international community to support Nigeria and the sub-region in tackling growing security challenges to avoid spillovers. The spate of attacks, which had been worsening in weeks, got to a frightening crescendo in the last 72 hours as the reign of terror descended in all 6 geopolitical zones of the country. Away from insecurity now, Governor Willie Obiano of Anambra State has disclosed that the 2 commercial test run flights will land at the Anambra International Cargo and Passenger Airport, Umueri, on Friday, April 30th, 2021. Governor Obiano disclosed this when he led members of Anambra State House of Assembly, traditional rulers, members of the clergy, including the Catholic Bishop of Ado-Ekiti Diocese, Most Reverend Felix Femi Ajakaye, Spiritual Director of Adoration Ministry, Enugu, Nigeria, Reverend Father Ejike Mbaka, and heads of communities in the state to assess work level at the airport. According to Governor Obiano, the 2 test run flights would land simultaneously on either side of airport runway, which has already been completed and certified by the Nigeria Civil Aviation Authority, NCAA, earlier this week. The airport has a 3.7-kilometer runway with 2 risers of 1 kilometer each attached on each side of the runway, making it the longest in sub-Saharan Africa. While the control tower, water supply source, fire control units, terminal building, taxiways and parking lots are nearing completion, 90% of the airport fencing is completed. Away from Nigeria now, vital medical supplies began to reach India as hospitals starved of life-saving oxygen and beds turned to coronavirus patients, and a surge in infections pushed the death toll towards 200,000. A shipment from Britain, including 100 ventilators and 95 oxygen concentrators, arrived in the capital, New Delhi, though a spokesman for Prime Minister Boris Johnson said Britain had no surplus COVID-19 vaccine doses to spare. France is this week sending 8 large oxygen generating plants, and Ireland, Germany and Australia are sending oxygen concentrators and ventilators, an Indian Foreign Ministry official said. Underlying the crucial need of oxygen, India's first oxygen express train put into the New Delhi, laden with about 70 tons of oxygen from an eastern state. But the crisis has not abated in the city of 20 million at the epicenter of the latest wave of infections. France has moved away from backing a civilian-military transition in Chad, calling for a civilian national unity government to be put in place to run its former colony until elections within 18 months. After President Idris Déby's death, a military council headed by his son, Mahamat Idris Déby, seized power and said it would oversee an 18-month transition to elections. Opposition politicians call this a coup. The military council has been under pressure to hand over power to a civilian transitional government as soon as possible. The African Union has expressed grave concern about the military takeover, while France until now has pushed for a civilian military solution. And now we cross over to sports. The second edition of the African Mini Football Confederation Cup of Nations has been scheduled to hold in Ibadan, the capital of Oyo State in Nigeria, from July 8th to 17th. Coordinator of mini football in north-central states of Nigeria, Batako Mau Lapai, who disclosed this in Abuja, said the president of African Mini Football Confederation, Ben Saliha, in company of representatives of the World Mini Football Federation, will arrive in Nigeria next month on inspection visit. The delegates will aside be inspecting facilities in Ibadan, will also pay a courtesy call on the Minister of Youth and Sports, Chief Sunday Dare, as well as the Senate Committee Chairman on Sports and the NFF between May 18th to 20th. Bayern Munich have confirmed the arrival of Julian Nagelsmann as their new head coach. Nagelsmann joins the Bundesliga champions from Leipzig after expressing his desire to end his contract prematurely. According to Sky Germany and Bild, Bayern agreed to pay £25 million, including bonuses, for the 33-year-old, making him the most expensive head coach in football history. Nagelsmann, who grew up supporting the Bavarian side, has signed a 5-year deal and will start his new role on July 1st. Bayern have also confirmed the departure of current head coach Hansi Flick after finalizing an exit package. The 55-year-old initially replaced Niko Kovac on an interim basis in November 2019 before securing the role on a permanent basis 6 months later. Flick is now expected to succeed Joachim Low as head of the national team. And this is still the news on the hour. Let's take you to the major stories. Church of Nigeria elects 2 new bishops for the dioceses of Calabar and Western Izon, and 1 archbishop for ecclesiastical province of Niger Delta. Diocese of Abuja vaccinates staff, clergy and wives. And Senator representing Kogi West Senatorial District, Smart Adeyemi, calls President Muhammad ego and seek international help. In the words of Martin Luther King, we must learn to live together as brothers, or we perish together as fools. Thank you so much for watching. I am Phoebe Agumahu. God bless you.